When it comes to creating video for your business, have you ever wondered, how am I supposed to set up my area? Like, what should be in my background? What kind of lighting should I use? Do I need fancy audio? How do I do all the things related to making sure that I'm ready to show up on camera, nail it, and convert a bunch of those people to new customers or clients? Well, you're in the perfect place. Today, we're going to dive into all the details you need to know about in terms of getting ready to be on camera, look awesome on camera, and deliver really well for your audience. So let's do this. Hello and welcome to the 2021 Social Media Sales Summit. I'm the host and creator, Adrienne Hill, and I help coaches, course creators, and network and affiliate marketers like you to build the skills, structure, and systems that you need to activate your six-figure social media sales machine without feeling like a salesy weirdo. Now, I've brought together over 20 expert speakers who will give you all of the strategies and the features that are working right now across every social media platform so that you can level up your business and your income. So let's do this. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Social Media Sales Summit. Today, I am here with Kelsey Starks. She's a broadcast journalist with more than 20 years of experience in television markets across the country. She's turned her on-camera experience into a media training business, providing courses and coaching for business leaders and entrepreneurs to improve their virtual presence. Kelsey earned a journalism degree and a master's degree, and she's worked as a reporter, producer, and anchor in New York, Chicago, DC, Charleston, South Carolina, you name it, you guys. She's been everywhere before finally landing in Louisville, where she currently resides. Now, as host of Louisville's most popular morning show for more than a decade, Kelsey was voted Best Kentucky TV Personality by Kentucky Living Magazine and was chosen as Most Admired Woman in Media by Today's Women's Magazine. Although she no longer sets her alarm for 2 a.m. every morning, thank goodness, her new primary role as mom to 3 children keeps her just as busy. So you guys, we are so blessed to have her with us here today. If being better on camera and showing up on camera is something that you really want to get better at, then you are in the perfect place. And she's going to help us dive into all things camera mastery. So welcome, Kelsey. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thanks, Adrienne. I'm thrilled to be here.
So for the audience members who maybe don't live in Kentucky and maybe haven't seen your show, could you tell us just a little bit about your background and your story as an entrepreneur and kind of how you found yourself in this new space of helping entrepreneurs rather than being on TV?
Absolutely. My entire career was focused on broadcast journalism. And as you mentioned, I went from market to market to market, and that 2 a.m. alarm clock does get to be a little much. So after my third child was born, I decided to take a step back and not sign a new contract here. But I found myself here in Louisville, and my husband works out of town and remotely most of the time. So I ended up getting some calls from clients, people I'd worked with, public relations wise, companies, local, regional companies, asking if I could do some media training or pretend to be a reporter so they can get some experience talking to reporters. And so that kind of snowballed into some public relations and media training workshops I developed for these corporate clients. And then it was early 2020 when my husband actually asked me to help him with a presentation he was having to do remotely. And he said, "Can you watch this and see what you think?" And he's in supply chain. So I had no idea what he was talking about. So I couldn't help him with the content at all. But I said, gosh, if you light your face a little better, move your camera up, your sound is echoing, you got to fix these things. You look so unprofessional no matter what you're saying. And so he ended up taking that advice. His bosses noticed. They asked me to do some of this virtual presence training for their company. And then word of mouth. And more companies started hiring me to do this sort of training. And lo and behold, then came 2020 as we know it, and everyone is working virtually for a while. I had teachers who had to pivot and they said, I don't even know how to turn on my camera. Nobody's going to listen to your message or take it in when you don't look professional off the bat. And so I found a way to use some of the skills that were kind of innate to me because I'd been working with, lighting and cameras and being comfortable on camera so long. I kind of turned that into an online course and a coaching program. And so I have just kind of snowballed into this world of online entrepreneurship. And I've really enjoyed hearing everybody's stories and helping people really connect with the audience that they're trying to find through the camera lens.
I love that story. It's so inspiring. And for the audience watching, I hope you're starting to see a theme here, right? With each of these speakers, Kelsey included, right? They didn't necessarily plan to go out and start the business they started or become the expert they became. It's just something that within their zone of genius, right? So obviously with Kelsey being on camera so much, there's certain things that are just obvious and easy and intuitive to her. They aren't really intuitive to other people, but she found a gap and now she's filling that gap, right? She saw an opportunity and she decided to go out and grab it. So I love that about your story. And it couldn't be more perfectly timed. I think you're totally right. There's so many people who were forced to pivot online and it's so outside their comfort zone. They really just kind of want some help to get started, right?
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, I've trained CEOs of major companies who are very vulnerable on camera. They have the same questions that you have. This comes naturally to no one. And it comes more naturally to me now because I've had a lot of experience, but like anything, practice makes perfect. But talking into a blank camera lens, it's not inherent for anybody. You don't get that feedback from talking to somebody in person. You don't get that energy back. And so it's really a learned skill how to connect with your audience through that lens, and more important than ever these days.
Yeah, I agree. Whether you're an entrepreneur like the audience we have with us here today, and we all know, right? We know being on social media is important. And everyone, how many times have you all heard videos where it's at? People prefer to consume video. They watch more video. You build know, like, and trust faster on video. There's so many reasons to get out there, but so many of us, we just don't want to do it. It's not.
It is a huge struggle just to push that record button or the go live. It can give so much anxiety. I really help people, first of all, find their comfort level and figure out what's going to make them more comfortable. And what I've found is that when you know some of these techniques, how to create good lighting, how to set up your background, how to make your microphone work so that you eliminate echo or background noise. When you know that you're doing some of these things, checking those boxes, you automatically feel a little bit better about your setup, right? You can turn any space these days into a professional looking studio if you know how. And seriously, you don't need a whole lot of professional equipment to do it.
Oh, yeah. Which is the super encouraging part. And I can't wait to dig into that because I think the audience is going to eat it up. So first, let's start by what are some of the common mistakes that you see people make on camera that our audience now never needs to make because they have the inside scoop?
Yeah, this was, like we said, when 2020 happened and everybody was broadcasting, even some seasoned television anchors on network TV were at home broadcasting. And I was like, how do they not know to put their camera at eye level? This is one of the biggest mistakes I see people make. And it makes such a big difference. So if you're ever like, gosh, I have a double chin. I look tired when I'm on camera. There's all these things that the camera can do, but if you know the right angles and the right kind of tricks, I like to call it, it can really make you look even better than you do in person. So one of the main mistakes is raising your camera to eye level, right? So a lot of people just figure that, your camera is on your laptop, or maybe it's next to your computer screen, however you have it set up. A lot of times people just assume that that's where their camera is. This is where my office is. So this is where I will look into the camera. And you're looking down at the camera. You automatically have a double chin. Your lighting is bad. You're going to look old, dark circles, that kind of thing, all those things we hate. So a really simple trick is to raise your camera to eye level. And it's actually a little higher than you even think it is to be exactly on eye level. And this is so simple. You can put a couple of books under your camera. You can, get a tray table and put it up there. Anything you can do to prop it up. And the second thing I would say is lighting. A lot of people feel like you have to have some professional light kit or ring light. Although all of those things are great, you can really create wonderful professional lighting in your own home by using natural light. That's what TV studios are trying to recreate with those big fancy lights. It's sunlight. So a simple thing is to turn towards a window. And so many times I see people who have this beautiful office and their window is over here. And so they're getting light over here. They get shadow on this side. And the easiest thing to do is just to turn this way, move your camera over here and have that lighting behind your camera. It's shining right on your face and you're going to see a huge difference.
Right. I mean, not only is it going to be more engaging to your audience because it's easier to see you, but what I noticed whenever I'm sitting in front of good lighting, I look younger, I look more awake. Like it's just the right lighting alone. I totally agree, is a huge confidence booster.
Absolutely. It's a game changer. And I say, the more confident you feel, the more confident you're going to come across on camera. And so building up that confidence with these little things so you look your best, you are going to exude that confidence when you're talking to people. And that's what helps engage audiences and help them want to buy from you and trust you and hire you to work for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So already you guys have some super actionable tips, which I love. And the great part, they're not complicated like at all,
Easy.
Right?
It
Face
really
the window
is.
and put some sort of box or some books under your computer. Boom. Like you're halfway there.
That's right. It's so simple. And I tell you, every time I teach these courses, people are like, oh gosh, I had no idea. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
And, but once you know these things, you're going to start critiquing other people in their videos and think, gosh, they should just raise up their camera a little bit.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Now, even if you have the perfect setup and you have great lighting, a lot of times the thoughts in our heads are what can take us down, right? How many of you have thought like, but I hate how I look on camera, or maybe I'm fine with how I look, but I hate my voice, right? I like, what do I do with my hands? I mean, like so many people have like the head game that's the hardest game to play actually. So what would you say to people who are struggling with some of those internal thoughts that are maybe not very kind to themselves?
Oh, gosh, you are your biggest critic always. And I'm the same way. I'm no exception to that. I do hear hands all the time. What do I do with my hands? So here's what I tell people. If you talk with your hands in real life, you're a hand talker. I am, by the way, as you've probably noticed. Use your hands on camera because people are showing to see your video because they want to see you. They want to see the real you. They do not want to see a robotic talking head that looks like a, God forbid, news anchor. They are coming to see you. They are showing up to see you. And so it's really important that you kind of get out of your own head and understand that it's your personality and your comfort level. Now, listen, if you don't talk with your hands normally, and some people don't try to, because then it looks very scripted and awkward. And then it makes you feel uncomfortable. So everything you can do to make yourself feel more comfortable is going to make your audience feel more comfortable and engaged with you. And so voice is a major thing too, because when we get nervous, human nature, it's a physiological thing. Your voice automatically can get a little bit higher. I had to do voice lessons early on in my career because this was a major problem for me. So when you can learn how to breathe deeply, relax your shoulders, your voice going up an octave when you're nervous is because of tightening right here, like in your vocal cords and your shoulders. So you can do some easy exercises like rolling your neck, rolling your shoulders, those kinds of things to relax those muscles before you go on camera. So there are all kinds of things that you can do to make yourself feel more comfortable. But the number one thing is to just do it, right? Practice makes perfect. And even if you are just filming a video, everybody has a great camera on their phone right now. All you have to do is, give yourself a challenge of making a video once a day for a whole week. Okay. Nobody has to see these videos but you. Just get in your car. You're in the carpool line to pick up your kids. You're at the kitchen sink making something for dinner. Pop on your camera, start talking to it. It's going to make it more comfortable. You can delete all the videos. Nobody ever has to see them, but I guarantee by the end of that week, you're going to feel more comfortable recording a video and then putting it out there for everyone to see.
Well, that is such great advice. I couldn't agree more because video is just like anything else. When you first start doing it, you're not comfortable. It doesn't necessarily come across the way you want it to, right? It's a learned skill. So the more you do it, the easier it gets. So I guarantee you guys, both Kelsey and I have been on camera quite a bit. So we've reached a certain level of comfort, right? I don't know that anyone ever truly feels comfortable on camera.
No, it's not. It's awkward. You're not talking to a real life human.
Right. But I guarantee the very first time Kelsey ever got on camera, very first time I ever got on camera, we weren't the way we are right now, right? Like it's a learned skill, right? Yes. So the only way to start is to start. So I love that advice of like, hey, no one has to see these videos. Just film them a bunch just to it's almost like strengthening a muscle when you're weight training, right?
It is exactly like that. And, that's the thing. People get in their head about what is so-and-so going to say? What if somebody sees this and what are, or they're going to think I messed up my words or they're going to think this about me. And it's all fine and easy to say, well, I don't care what anybody thinks about me. But listen, we all really do. And so it's really hard to get past that when you're starting with video. And so when you do practice it, it's just going to make it so much easier. And then you're going to get comfortable with it. You're going to get comfortable with yourself. You're going to get comfortable with seeing yourself. And then you get to a point where you really don't care so much about what people think because you're doing your best job on camera.
Couldn't agree more. And, another thing I remind myself and my clients all the time, people think about you way less than you think they do.
Isn't that the truth?
It's true. They're so busy thinking about their own lives and their schedule and how to make everything work and the problems that they're trying to work through. They're not obsessively thinking about you or what your video looked like. Honestly, they're just not. So
no, and I guarantee if you're talking to, other entrepreneurs or people who want to be in this space, they're thinking, gosh, I wish I could do video like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And with time, you will, right? Yeah. So for those people who are now they have their camera at the right level, they have some good lighting, they're going to just rip off the Band-Aid and start making the videos. They're not going to overthink it, right?
That's right.
The next thing I know a lot of people want to understand is how much of it should be pre-scripted? How much should be off the cuff? What if you're one of those people that if you don't have a fully written script, you just feel like you're going to throw up versus others who maybe just want to wing it? What advice would you give about how much to pre-script or not script what you're saying?
That's a great question. And the answer is different for everybody because, like I said, it's all about finding your comfort level. So, some people are going to feel more comfortable writing everything out, every and, but, it's, and comma, and that's fine. But the challenge with that is coming across conversational. Now, you can do it, but it does take some time and some practice and that kind of thing. Totally fine to write everything out. Some people feel more comfortable with like bullet points so that they know their main topics that they're going to hit. And so experiment with these different ways of scripting what you're going to say. Some people feel comfortable enough with their topic just to talk off the cuff like we're doing right now, which is great. But I do encourage everyone to write out something. And even if you're not looking at it during your video, just getting your thoughts in order is going to help with some of, a lot of us end up with what we call word vomit, where we just keep talking. And it's even more prevalent on camera because you're not getting that feedback. You can't see somebody's eyes drifting and you think, oh gosh, I got to wrap up. They're not paying attention anymore. So you just keep talking. That's one huge mistake I see people making. You get into rambling and you go off on a tangent. So I think gathering your thoughts prior to being on video, whether you write out an entire script and just have it in your mind or tape it up in front of your camera, use it kind of like a teleprompter, that's fine too. Maybe you want to work with bullet points, same thing. You can use it while you're on camera or just have it in the back of your mind. But it's really important to gather your thoughts and think about those main topics you want to hit before you go on.
Great tip. Great tip. So for those people who prefer a full script, do you have any advice on like teleprompter apps or ways that they could read without it looking like they're reading, or any tips for us there?
We have all experimented with teleprompters, right? So when I was in news, we had an actual teleprompter, which if you don't know what that is, which I think everybody does now, but it is a monitor that fits right over the camera lens and has the words scrolling. So you can read them and look like you're looking right at the camera. So there are some of these for the iPhone. There's one that I use called Big View TV. It's Big VU TV. It's pretty good because it has the words right next to the camera lens and the margins are really small. So it eliminates that eye back and forth. But we've all experimented with trying to position the camera right next to your computer screen or even writing notes out and taping them right up there to your camera lens. The biggest problem with this is starting to look like you're reading, right? So that's the challenge is, you don't want to come across as reading something because your audience takes in information very differently when they're listening to somebody talk rather than when they're reading something. So if you're writing out a speech and what you're going to say in an email or newsletter type thing, it's going to be written completely differently when you are saying it to someone through video, because we don't talk in complete sentences. We don't have perfect punctuation. We talk in run-on sentences. We start sentences with and. These are things you're not going to do when you're writing something out. So it's really important to understand the difference between writing conversationally for on camera and writing for someone to read. Audiences take in the information a lot differently.
Okay. So I'm hearing, if someone wants the help of a script, take whatever's written and change it so that it sounds and feels right as you speak it out loud. So like almost like have a dry run with it and modify it to be more like speaker friendly, right?
Exactly. And we all have our different styles in this. We all speak differently. So especially if you have somebody, I tell a lot of CEOs that I work with that they have people who write their speeches for them. Mm-hmm. So important to go back and modify it to sound like yourself, because otherwise you're going to sound like a robot reading a script. And that's what you want to avoid, because that's when people's ears shut off.
Yeah, absolutely. And then for those who prefer, like, I just need my 3 bullet points. As long as I can reference those, like I'm comfortable filling in the gaps, how do you recommend, like, where's the best place to have these? Do you use Post-it notes? Like what would you advise for them?
Post-it notes are great because you can tape them right up there next to your camera lens. A piece of paper with some tape on it is fine too. You can put those bullet points on your computer screen. Look, there's no problem with referencing a script. This is something I teach in a teleprompter course that I do. It is a mindset a lot of people have that the teleprompter is some sort of crutch, and like you shouldn't have to use a teleprompter. You shouldn't have to use notes. And you really got to get out of that mindset because, having something prepared to say or your message prepared in a clear and concise way, that just means you care. And it means you're trying to say it right and get the right message out. So there's nothing wrong with using notes, and there's nothing wrong with referencing them from time to time. So if you have to look down and look at the bullet point that you wrote right there, nobody's going to, oh gosh, she has notes, so it goes back to that mindset that we were talking about. Sometimes we are our worst critic and worst enemy when it comes to stuff like this.
Oh, absolutely. And I guarantee people are not watching you going, did you see her eyes look down?
Right.
God, she's the worst. Like, they don't care,
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. And in fact, I feel like if people are just their real, authentic selves, the more real a person is, the more authentic someone is, they're the ones who are fun to listen to. Right?
Exactly. And that's what I teach over and over and over. You have to get comfortable enough so that you are your best self on camera. Nobody came to see anybody else, and nobody wants you to act like a robot and be somebody different on camera than you are in real life. They want you to talk to them through the camera lens as if you are sitting down in a coffee shop with them, having a conversation. And so the more comfortable you can get with doing that, the more comfortable your audience is going to get. And that's when you build that so important know, like, and trust factor. And it's imperative with video.
Right. Absolutely. And especially in business. I mean, no one buys from someone that they dislike.
That's right.
That's kind of a no-brainer, right? So, and video is the quickest way to do that. I mean, how many of you watching over the course of a series of interviews now feel like you kind of know me, or you've kind of gotten to know Kelsey throughout the course of this conversation here, right? Like, written word can never do that as effectively as video.
That's absolutely right. And it's so interesting for me to see so many people utilizing video, not only to, build their personal brand, but now you see people, CEOs of companies or entrepreneurs who are selling a product. Instead of putting their product out there, they're putting themselves out there, because as soon as, and I can't tell you how many things I've bought off social media because I find a person that I really like and I like their story, and I'm like, their product sounds great. I didn't even know I needed new dog food or whatever it is, but it's really that personal factor, and it is just exploding with video right now. And so if you are trying to connect with anyone through video, it's so important to have the right skills in order to do it in the right way.
Yeah. I love that. So I know we talked a little bit about camera height. We talked a little bit about lighting. We didn't talk about audio. Like, is just like your built-in microphone enough? Do people need any fancy equipment? Like, what would you share in that space?
Yeah, this depends as well. A lot of, newer computers have really great built-in microphones. So it's not necessary in all cases that you get sort of an external microphone. In other cases, it may help. Here are a couple things that can help just transform your space with just kind of what you have laying around. If you just have the microphone on your camera, even if you have a regular external microphone, and you still are hearing an echo. Now, this is another thing. When you're recording those videos, you're not going to hear the echo when you're saying your words. You're going to have to take a video and listen to it yourself to see how you come across to other people. So that's how you can, first of all, figure out if you've got any problems or if your sound is coming through loud and clear. So a few things to keep in mind is when you're in a place with no carpet, maybe hardwood floors and little furniture, that's what creates the echo. So if you know a little bit about sound waves, you know that they reverberate off of things. And so you want to find things that absorb the sound, and that eliminates that echo. So, try to be in a carpeted space, put a rug down if you're not. Find props like books are great because not only make a nice looking background, they help absorb that sound. More furniture, the better. And an easy way that you can even help without any of that is to take a couple pillows, take them off your bed, off your couch, it doesn't matter, and place them right behind your computer or your microphone, wherever your sound is going. And it's going to help create a sound chamber, and that eliminates that echo. So if you've ever been in a radio studio or TV studio and they have those foam padded walls, that's exactly what you're doing with pillows. Everybody's got some pillows laying around. So if you prop those right behind your camera, it's going to direct your sound right into your microphone and eliminate that reverberation.
Oh, wow. That's fascinating. I never knew that. And I mean, it totally makes sense now that you explain it. But what I love about it even more, all of these tips that you have, these are things that are probably lying around our houses anyway, pillows and books and
exactly.
A window somewhere in the room that you're filming. I mean, these are great tips, so helpful.
So that's exactly what one of my courses is about, is creating professional looking space without any professional equipment, because you don't necessarily need it.
I love that. Because I think there's this perception or this fear, if you will, that I either have to have all these perfect, expensive things, or I might as well give up.
Right. I mean, we're, especially when you're getting started with something new like video, we'll find any reason in our head to give up, right? So I just don't have time. My space looks bad. I don't have a place to record. I don't have professional lights. All of these things that you think might be holding you back really shouldn't be.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So we've talked a little bit about the setup now and about the mindset. And, if we go back to that part we were talking about with, just helping to engage the person who's actually watching. I know they say, I think I've heard the latest stat is that people's attention spans are like 8 seconds long.
Which is shorter and shorter, isn't it?
It's terrifying to me. Yeah. So if you're wanting to come across as like realistic and conversational and not overly scripted, but you also know if you don't get to the point in 8 seconds, you're going to lose them. What do you recommend as far as starting the video in the first, 8 to 20, seconds? How do you recommend someone starts their video off, and what are the things that they should not ever do?
Yeah, great question. You're absolutely right. People's attention spans are so short, and which is, again, why it's so important to not only be conversational when you're talking, but to be clear and concise. Get to the point. People can ramble on and on, especially when it's a topic that you're really passionate about and you're an expert on. You got a lot to say. So a few things that I've found work best are obviously finding your hook. And that's something that we use in television news. Think about the headline. If you're writing a newspaper story, what's the headline going to be? It's got to be something that's going to catch somebody's attention, tell them enough information to want to read the article, right? Mm-hmm. So when you start out, I always tell people, people love lists. It's an easy fallback thing. Hey, I'm going to tell you 3 things to make your camera space look really professional. Boom, boom, boom. And then get into it, because people are, give them a little bit before you get into the meat and potatoes of it. Don't leave them wondering what it is you're going to talk about. Another thing is obviously identifying a pain point, right? That you can connect with your audience about. If your business or course or whatever it is that you're promoting, product, is a solution to a problem, that's how you're going to hook somebody in, right? Hey, have you ever worried about, whatever it is, how to hold your keys in your purse? I've got a solution for you. So all these things, you just want to grab their attention first. Tell them up front what you're going to talk about that day and make it as interesting as possible up front. And then hopefully that they'll want to stick around to hear more. There's lots of different ways you can do this. There's TikTok videos and crazy reels and that kind of thing. If that's you, that's great. But there's a lot of people out there that that's not them, that's not me actually. So don't try to be someone you're not just for the sake of getting eyeballs. And that's another really important lesson when it comes to video. You can see a ton of people out there doing really funny stuff that's going to, catch somebody's attention or make them stop scrolling. And that's all fine and good. But if that's not you and you don't feel comfortable doing it, you're not going to come across looking comfortable doing it. So the main thing is to find your people, right? You want to find your audience. And so address their pain point, give them a hook, a reason to stick around, and then tell them how you're going to solve their problem.
Oh, that is so helpful. So great advice. I mean, you're getting everything you need, guys, to get started being successful on camera and eventually, dare I say, comfortable on camera. Yeah, if you just rip off the Band-Aid, right? So join us in the Facebook group and we'll see you in the next session. Bye, guys.
You've been listening to the Impactful Entrepreneurs Show with Adrienne Hill, where we support coaches, course creators, and network and affiliate marketers to translate their big picture vision into actionable plans to build out their business efficiently. If you love our show, we invite you to visit buildalifebydesign.com to join the conversation, access the show notes, and discover more helpful resources. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, review, and share. Thank you for listening.